Thank you. Good morning, everybody. So nice, beautiful, cold Sunday morning, right? October, fall is coming. The leaves are changing their colors, and the winter is coming, and the rise of our bills is coming also. So let's expect to save some money. So, brothers and sisters, it's a great pleasure and great joy to see you all today and this morning. Um, as you as you might have seen outside, at least here in Dublin, there's a long line across the block. It's because today's Brazilian election day, and in Brazil, the voting is mandatory. So if you don't vote, you have to pay a fee and everything. So yeah, as our system. So so that's why you saw like a long line of people. I already did my part. Already woke up early today to avoid the lines. Thank you. So I hope our next Brazilian government be a good one, because our current one is not so good at the moment. But anyway, so I'm not here to talk about my country's election or political situation, but today, brothers and sisters, I'd like to talk about faith. In searching for a topic for this morning's Sunday service, I was inspired by one song, I believe, if not all of you, but most of you know. There's an Australian gospel group called Hillsong Worship, and they have a song called Oceans. And that song was inspired by the passage of Matthew 14, 22, 23. And that song inspired me to talk to you today about faith. So I would like just to share with you the passage of, can you just share, Victor, can you just unblock? Thank you so much. So I will read, not the whole chapter, but I read the versicle of Matthew. Matthew 14, 22, 23. It's from the New International Version of the Bible, of the Holy Bible. So this song, and what inspired me is, Jesus has many chapters and Jesus has many stories, parables, but there's an episode in Jesus' story in which Jesus walks on the water. So I'll read the versicle before I start giving my sermon today. Immediately, Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side while he dismissed the crowd. After he had dismissed them, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night, he was there alone, and the boat was already a considerable distance from land, buffeted by the waves because the wind was against it. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them, walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It's a ghost," they said, and cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." "Lord, if it's you," Peter replied, "tell me to come to you on the water." "Come," he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately, Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" And when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." So what really caught me in this passage of Matthew is that Peter said, I'll just summing up. You can close. Thank you. Okay. So what really caught me on this passage is that Peter wanted to go to Jesus, and Jesus said, "Please come." And he was walking on the water, but then he doubted. The wind was really strong. The external conditions were not ideal, and he trembled on his faith and he started to sink. And I can make a parallel with our lives of faith, in which we build our lives of faith every day. We build it constantly. It's a constant process of building our life of faith. But when Peter doubted, he started to sink and cried out for help, for Jesus' help. And Jesus said, "You have little faith, why did you doubt?" So in our life of faith, we might have come across, and we will come across some challenges. We will come across challenges in our life of faith. It will challenge our faith, it will challenge our character, it will challenge everything we believe in. But even in the midst of doubt, we may never forget that our Heavenly Parent will never let us down. They will always be there to offer a helping hand. And they will always have faith in us, regardless of our situation, regardless of where we stand in life, regardless of how is our life of faith. They will always be there to offer a helping hand, regardless. I've experienced it myself. I've had my doubts. I had my questions, and sometimes not even my parents could guide me. Not even my parents could give me the right answer. But God never let me down, and he never let me down in the sense that he always showed me in many ways that he still believed in me. And I'm sure that each and every one of you have come across or will come across a similar experience. And then I'm sure that God and our Heavenly Parents will be with you. They'll always stand there. They're just waiting for us to take action. And if we tremble, they're always gonna be there to offer a helping hand, regardless of our situation. So regarding this matter, I'd like to talk also about faith, about the three dimensions of faith. Basically, we can sum it up in 3 dimensions, as I mentioned. First is faith in God. Second is faith in others. And last but not least, is faith in self. So regarding the first point is about faith in God. God is invisible. Today, the society claims that God does not exist because they only see the external. They only look at what they can see. They only believe in what they can see. But they forget that there's an invisible. We are dual. We're made of dual characteristics, as we learn in the divine principle, that we're made of a physical body and the mind. So people, a mind that is invisible. So God is invisible, but it doesn't mean that he does not exist, that he's not alive, that he's not unchanging, absolute and unchanging. God is always there. He's absolute. And when we have faith in God, I'm sure as he lives inside our hearts, he's always going to be there. And he will perform miracles. He will show us the way, and he will be our guide. One example about faith in God, a couple weeks ago, we celebrated, I'm sorry, I don't know exactly the year, the anniversary, but we celebrated the Washington Monument event that was held in 1976, if I'm not mistaken, in Washington, D.C. So as you might have read in True Parents, both True Father and True Mother's autobiography, they mentioned in that event that conditions were terrible. So they mobilized the whole country, they mobilized all America to come to listen to True Parents' message, to True Father's message at that day. But the weather conditions out of nowhere just changed. It was a sunny, bright day, and then suddenly rainstorms and strong winds fell on the venue. So it was just a mess. It was a chaos. If you look from an external point of view, like, okay, the event is done, so like all the banners are gone, people are not gonna come with this weather, so it's just gonna cancel. But then, as in True Mother's autobiography, she said, one member rose up and started to sing, "You Are My Sunshine." So all the members and everybody there at the venue joined him in singing "You Are My Sunshine," and then the sunshine appeared. The wind the rain, the storm just passed out, and completely the sun rose again and was able to fill up the hearts of our brothers and sisters who were there at the moment, but also to lift up and fill up the hearts of the people who were attending that venue, who were attending that event. And as we know, is a historical, successful event in our history. And if it was not by the faith, if it was not by believing and having faith in God, having faith that that venue, that event was so important, that people were really needing in America at that moment, not just at that moment, but not just America, but specifically in that moment, America was in need of hearing True Parents' message. So believing in God, having faith in God made a miracle. That is the Washington Monument that we celebrate even to this day. So the Washington Monument, sorry if I'm mistaken, if I'm misunderstanding the venues, but like you can, I think all of you might know the event I'm talking about. So I'm sorry if I'm mistaken, like the venues or the dates. Okay, thank you. Yankee Stadium, thank you so much. I'm sorry if I misunderstood. But yeah, so it's basically that. So if you have faith in God, if you have faith in him, he will perform miracles. But of course, we cannot be fooled enough. We cannot be fooled to expect that God will do everything for us. We cannot expect that God will attend every wish that we have. So to avoid that, we should always pray. I say in my prayers, Heavenly Parent, this is what I want. This is my desire. But I want that your will may be done, because your will is much greater and much better than mine. So of course, we can pray to God. We have to, because he's our Heavenly Parent, we have to establish a connection with him because he lives in us and he wants to be with us, as I mentioned in some of my Sunday services. But we cannot expect him to do everything for us. So let's pray that God's will may be done instead of our own will, because when we realize we picture something, but then if we pray to God, we offer to God like our wish and pray that his will be done, it would be a much greater thing, a much better thing that we expected, would be much better than we expected in the end. So, yeah. So the second point is faith in others. So there is very little trust for others in the world today. Very little trust. But why? It's because we still have our fallen nature. We have 4 fallen natures. And even though we are second generation, we don't have original sin, but we have fallen natures that we must overcome, that we must acknowledge, recognize, and overcome them. So to overcome this lack of faith in others, we should accentuate the positivity in others and also enhance the good in other people. For example, there's an example of Jesus, as we were mentioning Jesus in the beginning of the service, that Jesus trusted the apostles and the people, even after they betrayed and killed him. Even at the cross, even the moment that Jesus was crucified, he was going to the spirit world, he never said to God, please curse these people because they were bad to me. Please, Father, curse all their generations because of what they done to me. No, Jesus didn't say any of that. Jesus continued to believe and trust in the people that was supposed to be the chosen people who were supposed to be lifting him up, to acknowledge him as the Messiah and bring the kingdom of heaven on earth, establish it physically. But he didn't pray for their disgrace. He didn't pray to curse their families. He didn't pray for any of that. He just said, Father, forgive them. I'm sorry because I don't know the passage in English, but the essence is that God forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. So he had a heart of forgiveness and faith in them. So, of course, Jesus is only one example, but there are many examples in history, and even in within our movement with true parents themselves. I believe true parents, and I doubt there's any speech or holy book that says that true parents are accusing people. They always come with the forgiving and always trust people, even though people did wrong with true parents at some point. But they never curse, they never played anything, they never say anything bad about other people, because they keep believing and have faith in us. They never stop having faith in us and never stop trusting us. So, with so many examples, even though today the tendency is not to have so much trust in other people, but we have really clear examples in the Bible, in our lives, with true parents, that we must keep our faith in others and enhance the good in others, to see them as they are, seek goodness in other people, and even if they fail us, we continue to love them. We continue to love them and embrace them, because we will be doing our portion of responsibility, and sooner or later they will realize that we have faith in them, and then it will be like a booster to their confidence, to their faith, to keep moving forward in their lives of faith, to realize the ideal. And last but not least, of the 3 points of faith is faith in self. So one tendency from, let's say, the 2000s is that the number of people with anxiety, depression, and the lack of self-confidence there's a lack of self-confidence. So we observe this tendency today that people are lacking self-confidence, are having some issues with their mental health. And to overcome it, we have to change our mindset. Instead of always thinking on the negative side, well, we also have to look on the bright side. Of course, it's good to look on the negative side. Not good. I'm not saying to you, oh, always look on the negative side. No, it's not that. But consider both scenarios and put yourself in which scenario do you feel most comfortable? Do you feel most comfortable in the negative scenario, just dragging yourself in negative thoughts, negative experiences, or in a positive scenario in which you can see improvement, in which you can see yourself having some self-development and overcoming these barriers to develop your self-confidence? So to overcome this lack of self-confidence, we gotta build little by little our self-confidence to face any situations that it arises, and to achieve and gain something from every situation. Every situation, from the smallest one to the greatest one, have a lesson for us to learn. So it's up to us to either be dragged down by it, or see that, acknowledge that some situations might not have been good, but we can take something from it, and we can learn from it and continue to develop our character, mature ourselves enough to reach to a point in which our self-confidence is not trembled, in which you can keep our self-confidence stable. So of course, having self-confidence is really good, but we can also not be fooled. We have to be really careful with self-pride, because an excess of self-confidence might develop into self-pride, arrogance, and overconfidence. So to avoid these scenarios, of course, self-confidence is really important, but at the same time, we have to know how to humble ourselves, to use our talents for God and for others. Because it doesn't matter if I'm so much talented, but if I cannot share, if I cannot learn with others. Because in university, I had a colleague in which we were doing exams, and sometimes she felt really guilty that she didn't have let's say, an ace. She felt bad that she didn't get like 100% score. and she was excusing herself to the professor. Said, "Professor, I'm sorry, I don't know everything about it. I'm sorry. I wish I could ace this test, you know." But the teacher said, "That's okay. We don't have to know everything. We don't have to know every single thing. It's important that we learn with each other. It's important that we learn and open our hearts and open our minds to learn with each other. Because there might be some things that, for example, I learned a lot with Vittorio, with my dear husband, because he's a really practical person. So sometimes I don't know how to deal with the situation. I don't know how to fix certain things, but he knows. So I'll say, okay, how do you do that? Or even have the humbleness to ask, how do you do that? Or why certain things happen? Not to have some preconceptions. Always ask people and humble yourself in order to learn with other people and learn with the situations that arise in our lives. So in conclusion, my brief message for this morning is that faith and trust require a long time to establish, but so little to be broken. My father used to tell me, trust is a thing that you build your whole life, but then within a second, trust, if you break a trust, it might never be repaired. So it's the same thing with our faith. So as I was mentioning, faith and trust, our faith have to be developed constantly in our lives of faith. We all know we know our best fit, you know, because there's some people who like to do conditions or like to witness. Find your own way to develop your faith and work on it, because it's a work in progress. Establishing and building our lives of faith is a work in progress every single day. And of course, as it is a constant growth, it requires energy, taking risks, understanding other people, and forgiveness. Because as I mentioned before, people might do wrong with us, but it's up to us to forgive the other people, because we don't want to carry this burden into our hearts, because in the end, it's not going to be good for anybody to carry any burden like that. So I have to forgive, as it was one of True Parents' mottos in the past, forgive, love, and unite. So it also is a requirement to keep developing our faiths and use wisdom, reason, and humbleness to guide you. Wisdom is a thing that we acquire with experience. Wisdom is a thing that we learn constantly from our families, from our friends, from our situations. And humbleness is really important, really, really important. So let these points also guide you. We also have the divine principle. We have the Bible with so much examples in which we can base ourselves to continue growing in our faith. And of course, always pray. Not pray like always with your eyes closed. Heavenly Parents just doing like 120 minutes of prayer, you know, those 40 minutes prayer conditions, you know. But prayer can be done anywhere. If you're walking on the street, if you're going somewhere, you can be talking with God, you can be praying. So even in nature, of course, nature is the best place, you know, because you are in the midst of God's creation. And then you can see his creation and rejoice in it, and completely feel his heart. So always pray, and never forget that God, our heavenly parents and true parents, are within each and every one of us. Never forget that, brothers and sisters. And it's up to us to continue developing our faith, not just in ourselves, but also in others and in God. So I'd like to conclude my message of today about faith, even though it's a short one, but I hope you can get something from it and continue growing in your lives of faith. So brothers and sisters, I would like to offer a prayer so we can close our Sunday service. Dearest Heavenly Parents and true parents, we are really grateful to be here today as brothers and sisters here in your home in Dublin, and of course in the hearts of our brothers and sisters spread all over Ireland and Northern Ireland. And we're here to keep developing our faith in you, Heavenly Parents. We know that in our life course, we might have doubted, we might have doubts, we might have some questions inside us. But if we have faith in you, if we have faith in others, if we keep faith in ourselves and continue to develop our faith in order to achieve perfection, because having faith in you, Heavenly Parents, because you never stopped having faith in us. You never stopped trusting us. You never stopped loving us. And with that sincere heart, we feel you, Heavenly Parents, and we want to make you proud. We want to continue developing our faith in order to bring joy and glory to you in your name and our true parents and for all humankind. So in this Sunday service, we discussed about faith. So each and every one of us, we continue to develop our faith in our daily lives, with our neighbors, with our families, with our friends, with everybody around us, so we can continue, Heavenly Parents, to make you proud. And through our faith, we will never, Heavenly Parent, doubt about you and our true parents, and continue to believe in us. And I know you never abandon us. So thank you for always having faith in us. Thank you for always trusting us. And we're really grateful for all the love, all the wisdom, and everything that you give to us every single day. So I want to offer this prayer and offer this Sunday service in this congregation with a heart of deepest gratitude. And I want to offer it in all of our names, in the name of MiYe Vittorio Nobo de la Corte, Central Blessed Family, Adium. Brothers and sisters, before we go into the Holy Song, I would like to show our weekly news, European weekly news, in which our Peace Road is featured in the weekly news. Just a second.
Hello dear brothers and sisters, and welcome to the Europe and Middle East weekly news for the first weekend of October 2022. My name is Beatriz Gaina.
And my name is Alma Gaina. We hope that you're healthy and well as we welcome the colorful and cozy season of autumn.
Recently, many communities in our region have been hosting events in observance of the International Day of Peace. UPF UK hosted its main event this week in its London headquarters. UPF chapters across the UK have also been very active. Here is Vianney Maladica to tell us something about the recent UPF event in Newcastle Civic Centre.
In order to promote True Mother's vision of peace, UPF Newcastle organized a big event of peace, the Principles of Peace and the Founder's Vision of UPF. The second part of the event was the Ambassador for Peace Award, and we had 6 ambassadors for peace to receive the award. Among them, the former Lord Mayor of Newcastle and ministers. All of them are dedicated to promoting the universal moral values and supporting local UPF here in Newcastle. God bless, brothers and sisters.
There was a retreat hosted by Interfaith Scotland on the spiritual island of Iona. In attendance was Oliver Lane, who has more to say about the 3-day program.
Hello, brothers and sisters. Many greetings from Scotland. Last week I attended an interfaith conference and retreat on the island of Iona, famous for its association with St. Columba. 40 participants from different faiths and religions worshipped together, discussed, made plans, and shared many things. And I was really reminded and sometimes touched that we are all in some way or other on the same journey to discover and connect with God's true love. Thank you.
UPF Ireland hosted a Peace Road event this week in the northern Irish town of Armagh. Com O'Kiana tells the story.
Celebrating UN Day of Peace, UPF Ireland chose Armagh City as the site of this year's Peace Road Walk, as participants took the short but very symbolic route from St. Patrick's Roman Catholic Cathedral to St. Patrick's Church of Ireland Cathedral, both with All Ireland headquarters in the city. Peace ambassadors gave thanks to heaven for the new peaceful conditions and artistic unity in Ireland, as well as for the resolution of religious persecution of unificationists in Japan following the Abe assassination. Following the walk, participants convened at the City Hotel for a keynote presentation by Professor Omar Escalona of Ulster University. Ona gave a deep exposition on the theme of converging identities of science and religion. His presentation followed an introduction to the history and purpose of the Peace Road as envisioned by the UPF co-founders Father and Mother Moon, by Family Federation National Pastor Eli Lowe. Peace Ambassador Stanley Naweri gave an inspiring summary of his work in the migrant rights and intercultural harmony area. MC UPF Ireland Secretary General Colm O'Kiani gave a roundup of the activities of UPF Ireland in 2022.
The community in Finland organized an interactive mini-workshop to start projects in small teams. These projects will be delivered over the next few months. We wish that Heavenly Parent will bless the finished plans.
In Denmark, an event was hosted to commemorate the 50 years since the first Danish member, Thomas Vad, became a member of the unification community. Missionaries from Austria invited him to become the first member to join in Denmark in 1972.
Thomas participated in the 118 couple blessing in London in 1978, together with Gertrude from Austria, and they became the first victorious Chombo couple in Denmark in 2021. During the event, he testified to how Heavenly Parent led him to work with true parents.
Most memorable to Thomas was his participation in the International One World Crusade, IOWC, in Europe and Japan between 1976 and 1978. Congratulations to Thomas Vad and the Danish community.
Birmingham, UK celebrated the 30th anniversary of FFWPU, as well as recognized the United Nations Day for Peace. The topic was Countries and Conflict, the Real Story. Then a shoebox was passed around and collected £350.
Let's give a round of applause for a successful Peace Road in Armagh. Also, thank you, Colin, for organizing, and also Tinko for all the support and all the brothers and sisters who supported in one way or another. So just gonna give the floor back again to Ji-Song. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Thank you.
Okay, so that was a lovely sermon by MiYe. Yeah, I think yeah, the Peace Road was also a beautiful coverage of everything that's happened recently. And I appreciate the Irish pride as well. Yeah. Yeah, so without further ado, we'll go on to the final holy song.